Hi everybody, I'm Pia from Stitches and Scraps, and today I'm going to show you how to crochet this Loopy Flower Square. We're going to start our square with the flower in the middle. For our first round, we just want to make 6 single crochet into a circle. And now you can use a magic circle for that, or what I've put in the pattern is to chain 2 and then do 6 single crochet into the second chain from the hook. Either way is fine. Whatever is easier for you is perfectly okay. Okay, there's my 6 single crochet, and then I'm going to join the round with a slip stitch into the first stitch. And there we go, there's 6 single crochet in a circle. Whoops. Cut the yarn, leave a tail to sew in later, and fasten off. Now when I work into the next row, remember that in here, this little slip stitch, this is an extra stitch. So we're going to ignore that when we work into the next row. We should have 6 stitches to work into. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This one doesn't count. So let's start our next round. For round 2, we're going to first turn our work, and then we're going to be working into the back loops only of each of these stitches. Now it says to join our purple or whatever color flower you're making, flower colored yarn, into the back loop of any stitch. I've gone completely opposite where I joined because it's a little floppier at the join, so I want to get a couple stitches in before I get there. So wherever you want to join is fine. It's really not important which stitch you choose, but it says to join with a single crochet. So what that means is we're going to pull up a loop, chain 1, and work a single crochet into this stitch. Tug on the tail to tighten it, and that is joining with a single crochet. Now we've got a chain to make a loop. So we're going to chain 9, and then we're going to single crochet into the next stitch. And remember, we're working in back loops only for this whole round. So single crochet into the back loop of the next stitch. And then chain 9. And single crochet into the back loop of the next stitch. And we're going to continue to do this, chain 9 and single crochet all the way around. Oops. Okay, now here's my join. Do you see that floppy bit? This part here, that's the slip stitch. I'm going to ignore that. Just pull my tail over, pull it nice and snug, and then find, and actually I want to keep both my tails on the wrong side, so let's move them over right now. Okay, and then find the next stitch, which is here, and go into the back loop of that. When you're done, you should have 6 loops like this. If you end up with 7, that means you worked into your join, which is what you don't want to do. I was saying numbers while I was chaining, and that wasn't helping. So single crochet into the next stitch, and then chain 9. And single crochet into the next stitch. Now you'll notice we're out of stitches and we only have 5 loops. Do one more single crochet or one more chain of 9. And then we're going to slip stitch into our first single crochet. So right there. And that closes our circle, that closes our round, and we have 6 chain 9 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're ready to start round 3. For round 3, we're going to be working into these loops, and it says do not turn because this is the front of our work and it's all pretty and we want to keep it that way. So the first step is to chain 1, and then it says to twist the first loop, and it says to twist it towards your hook. What I mean by that is if you are right-handed, you're going to be twisting it to the right. See how it's going towards the hook? The front leg should be pointing at your hook. Now, if you're left-handed, that means you're going to be twisting it to the left so that the front loop points at your hook. So that's why I didn't say right or left. Twist it towards your hook so that it's pointing at your hook. And then we're going to single crochet into the top of this loop. Not down here, up here at the top. Okay? So we're going to work 3 single crochet. 1, 2, 3. And then chain 1. And then work 3 more single crochet. 1, 2, 3. And then we're not coming back down here at all. We're just going to go right on into our next petal. Twist it towards your hook. 3 single crochet, chain 1, and 3 single crochet. And then keep going. Do that for the next one. Twist it, 3 single crochet, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, 3 single crochet, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to do this all the way around. And then when we finish all 6 of our petals, then we're going to slip stitch right back into this little chain 1 space we had made at the beginning. And there is our center flower. And now we can fasten off. And we're ready to do round 4, which starts the background. For round 4, we start to build our background. And what we're going to do is actually build a little framework of chain spaces to work into to form our background. So those chain spaces, we want them to rest underneath the flower. And the way we do that, we're going to turn our round and we're going to work into the back bumps of those chain spaces that are in each petal. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you remember when we did our petals, we had 3 single crochets. There's 1, 2, and 3. And then we had a chain space and then 3 more single crochets. So if I was to just work into the chain space entirely, the green would show on the front. And I don't want that. What I want is for the green to be nicely hidden behind this layer of V's. And that's why we're going to work in the back bump. So this V shape here, this is the bottom loop and the top loop. And we don't care about those. Okay, we're not going to worry about those. We're going to keep those out of our way. When we flip it over, you see this one little string right here. This is your back bump. So we're going to work into just that back bump. So finagle it however you need to get into just that back bump. And we're going to join with a slip stitch. And again, I'm a little bit away from where I joined my previous round just to keep things from getting fiddly too quickly. So join with a slip stitch, and I like to tuck my tail under there. And then we're going to chain across to the next one to make a chain loop that goes across our flower. So we're just going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then slip stitch again in the back bump, and separate your stitches if you need to find that, but it's right there. So slip stitch into the back bump of that chain. And then again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and slip stitch into the back bump of the next chain. And 1, 2, 3, 4, slip stitch into the back bump of the next chain right there. Whoops. One, 2, 3, 4, and a back bump of the next chain. When you look at the whole thing before you separate it, you can see that there's one little loop that doesn't quite look like the rest of them. There's 1 stitch, 2 stitch, 3 stitches, 1 stitch, 2 stitch, 3 stitches, and then there's this little tiny loop in the middle here, and that's how we know that's our back bump. If you separate the stitches, you'll be able to see it a little bit better too. 1, 2, 3, 4, back bump, last one, goes right into the same loop that we started in. So just slip stitch right into that same loop. And now what we've done is we've created this framework of chain spaces behind our flower. So our flower rests on top, and you can't even really see this framework, right, from the front. And this is what we're going to work our background into, is this framework of chain spaces at the back. So that is round 4. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's round 4. And we're not cutting because we're going to continue with the same color for round 5. So right now what we have is basically a hexagon because we have 6 petals to our flower and we have 6 chain spaces going around our flower. What we're going to do with round 5 is we're going to turn this into a square. So for round 5, and we're working into these chain spaces to build our background. So for round 5 it says to turn and slip stitch into the first chain 5 space. Now chain 3, that counts as a double crochet, right? And then double crochet, half double crochet, single crochet, and half double crochet all into the same, oops, don't split the yarn, half double crochet all into the same space. This is actually going to be one point of our square, but we'll finish that when we get back around. Now in the next one, we're going to do another point, which is 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochet. So 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochet. So now let's look at how the points are different, okay? When you're turning a hexagon into a square, you're turning 6 sides into 4, which means you have 1.5 times as many, 6 sides is 1.5 times as many as what you need. So what that translates to is 2 of your points are going to be in chain loops and 2 of your points are going to be between chain loops. So you have 1 point here between these 2 chain loops, and then the next point is in this chain loop. So with these 3 chain loops, we've now made 2 points, 2 corners. So then with these 3, we do the same thing. 1 corner between these 2 chain loops and 1 corner in this chain loop. So that's basically the gist of this row. And this is our second corner. We never did finish our first corner. We'll do that when we end. But this is our second corner. And now we're going to do the part where there's a corner between these 2 chain spaces. So that is half double crochet, single crochet, half double crochet, and then 2 double crochets. 1, 2. Okay? Then chain 2, and that's our corner. And then the other side of the corner is in this space. So 2 double crochet, half double, single, and half double. Okay, now we've made a corner in between 2 spaces. So now the next one, we're going to make a corner in the space, and that is 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles. Whoops. Okay, and then we're back to our last corner, which is in between these 2 spaces. So we need to make this side of this corner, which is going to be half double, single, half double, and then 2 doubles. 1, 2. And then to make the corner space, we chain 2, and we join it with a slip stitch in the top of our first double crochet, which was this chain 3 space. Or chain 3, not chain 3 space. So now you'll be able to see, once I lay it flat, that we have taken our 6-sided flower and turned it into a 4-sided square. And once we block it and we lay everything flat, this flower will sit on top of these 2 rows. So you don't even see that transition happening. It happens behind the flower. So that's how it will sit once it's all nice and blocked. And now our flower is on top of, can't grab it, there we go. Now our flower is on top of a square. And now we can continue with our square. So round 6 is easy. We're just going to do double crochets all the way across and then put 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets into each corner. And we're going to start in the middle of a corner. So turn your work, slip stitch into that corner space, and chain 3 for your first double crochet. And those of you who follow Moogly or who have seen me do it before, if you want to use that chainless starting double crochet, you can do that too. The way that works is you draw up a loop, twist your hook around it to make that the yarn over, and then, oops, and don't let go of it, and then insert it into the space, pull up a loop, just like you would for a regular double crochet, and you treat that twist as your yarn over. And then you get something that looks a little bit more like a double crochet and a little bit less like a chain 3. So that's a perfectly viable option too, and chain 3 is perfectly good as well. So do your double crochet however you want to do it. Do another double crochet. Now we've got 2 double crochets. You know what? I made that one a little floppy because I was showing you. I don't like that. I'm going to rip it out and try it again. You definitely get a rhythm with these. There we go. That's a little less floppy. So then another double crochet. And now we're just going to double crochet across each of these stitches. So double crochet, I think that comes out to, what is it, 9 times? I'm not sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, not 9, 7. 7 double crochets. And then 2 in the corner, because we're at the corner now, 2 double crochets. Chain 2, 2 double crochets. And keep going around all 4 sides the same way, 7 stitches across. 1, 2. And when we get back to the first corner, we only did the 2 double crochet, so now we need to do the other 2 double crochet. 1, 2, and then the chain 2 for the corner space, and join in this stitch. Next round we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to turn our work, slip stitch into the corner, and chain 3 to start. That's 1 double crochet. There's 2 double crochets. Now I'm going to double crochet in each stitch across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, oops, 8, 9, 10, oops, 10, 11. So there's 11 stitches that you're going to be double crocheting all the way across to the corner, and then in the corner we're doing our 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, and we'll continue this around for this round. I've reached the starting corner, so now I go back into that same space and I do 2 double crochets, chain 2, and slip stitch to my first stitch. Now I'm going to fasten off because for the next round I'm going to be joining a different color. This is the perfect spot to pause and measure our gauge. My square at this point is, let's go right across the center, is about 5.5 inches. So your square should be about there. If it is, you'll end up with right at 12 inches. If you're just a hair small or a hair large, don't worry about it because we can add a row or change the last row to make it slightly bigger or smaller. But if you're way off, you may want to change your hook size. I would say if you're within a 1/4 inch, you're probably absolutely fine. You can probably get a little bit of wiggle room in the blocking as well. So let's start our next round. For the next round, we're going back to our center color, and the first thing it says to do is turn, and then join in any chain space. I'm going to stay away from that one, so I'm going to join in this one. So I'm joining with a single crochet, which means pull up a loop, chain 1, and then single crochet. Oops, there we go. Okay, and now I'm going to single crochet in the next stitch, and then I'm going to chain 7. And I'm not skipping any stitches. I'm doing my next single crochet right in the next stitch, and I'm going to do 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3. Then I'm going to chain 7 again. And 1, 2, 3. Chain 7. And 1, 2, 3. Chain 7. And 1, 2, 3. Chain 7 one more time. And yes, this is off, okay? We started with 1 stitch here. We're ending with 2 stitches here, and that's totally fine. Do not worry about it. 1, 2, and then 1 stitch in the corner, chain 2, and 1 more stitch in that same corner. So that is single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in the corner. Now we're going to repeat this all the way around. So 1 single crochet, and then start with our chain loops. And when we get to the end, we have the 2 single crochet, and there's my floppy corner. I'm going to pull that to the back of the work, and single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Okay, and so you can see that we have 5 chain loops on each side of the square. So I'm going to keep going around the square doing the same thing. Okay, I'm back to the starting corner, so I do my single crochet, chain 2, and slip stitch into my first stitch. And I'm not cutting the yarn because I'm using the same color for the next round, so let's start the next round. I'm going to turn my work. I'm going to slip stitch into that chain space that I just made, and then chain 3 to be my first double crochet. Do another double crochet in the same space for my corner. Okay, and now I'm going to do 1 more double crochet into this stitch. Okay, now I'm twisting my next loop. Twist, 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 and do 3 single crochets in the top of this loop. 1, 2, 3. Okay, twist this stitch. Now notice I'm not coming back down here at all, okay? Twist this stitch and do 3 single crochets in the top of this one. Sorry, I said twist the stitch, I mean twist the loop. And again, guys, I'm twisting towards my hook, okay? So I'm just going to go through each of these loops and do 3 single crochets across each one. Three single crochets. And then when I come down here, I'm skipping 1, okay, and I'm going to do a double crochet in this stitch and then 2 double crochets for the corner. So you can see I've done 3 single crochets in the top of each of my 5 loops, and in each corner I have 2 double crochets in the corner plus 1 double crochet at the edge just before I start my loops. So now I've got my symmetry back. So those of you like me who are absolutely anal about symmetry and the last row really messed with you, this one should fix it for you. Now chain 2 and 2 double crochet in the same corner, and double crochet in the next stitch, twist the loop, skip the rest of these stitches here. There's 2 stitches here that we're skipping, okay? So skip those 2 and just 3 single crochet into the loop. 2, 3, and keep going around in the exact same manner until we get back to our beginning. I've done 3 single crochet in my last loop, and I'm down to the beginning corner here. So I skip 1 single crochet from this row, double crochet into the next single crochet, 2 double crochet in my corner, chain 2, and then join to my first stitch. And now I can fasten off because I'm going to change back to green for the next round. Oops. So let's take a look at where we're at now. Get all my little strings out of the way here. And you should have a nice round of kind of twisted crisscross loops going all the way around here. So round 9 was easy. We just started with our background color in one of the chain spaces and started with our 2 double crochet in the chain space, worked all the way around in double crochet in every stitch, which turned out to be 21 stitches across here, and then in the corner 2 more double crochet, chain 2, and then 2 more double crochet. So that makes a total of 21 plus 2 is 25 stitches across each side, and the chain 2 space in the corner. So I'm back to my starting corner. I've done 2 double crochet in the same corner. I just need to do that chain 2 and join. And now this time I'm not going to cut my yarn because the next round is going to be so small that it won't matter if we carry the yarn up a little bit. So I'm on the wrong side now, and I'm going to turn over to the right side. And I'm going to slip stitch into this first space, but when I do that, I'm going to change to my purple yarn. Here's my purple yarn. I'm going to insert my hook into that space, and then just pull up my loop with the purple yarn and slip stitch like I normally would. I'm going to pull that a little bit tight. Okay. Now I'm going to do this round in half double crochet, and it's just a plain half double crochet round, but we're going to do it just like we did the single crochet round. So chain 1, half double crochet, bring my tail out to the wrong side. Oh, it is on the wrong side. Okay, so chain 1, half double crochet for the corner, and then I'm going to just half double crochet in each of these stitches across. Okay, when I get to the corner, I'm going to do half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet, and then continue around the side again. So I'm going to finish doing a half double crochet round all the way around with half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet in each corner. I've come to my last corner. I'm going to hold this green tail over to the left so that it stays in the middle of this chain space, and I'm going to do my half double crochet into the chain space and then chain 2 and join with a slip stitch to the first stitch. Now I can go ahead and fasten off my purple, which I've already cut in my case, but go ahead and cut it and fasten it off, and we're ready to start the next round. Turn your work, and we're going to pick up this green again, and we're going to pick it up in the center of this chain space. So yarn over and pull up a loop, and yes, it's going to make that little diagonal line. That's okay. Okay, chain 3, and then do a double crochet. So now we've got our 2 double crochet in the corner. Now I'm going to be working in the third loop of these half doubles. This is the back loop. Sorry, let me get that out of the way. This is the back loop. this is the front loop, and this down here, right there, that's the third loop. When we work into that, it takes this V on the top and pushes it to the back of where we're working, which, since we're on the wrong side, is going to be the front of our work. So let's do a couple and then you'll see what I mean. So double crochet into this third loop back here on every one of these stitches. And when you look on the other side, you can see how that leaves us with those nice little V's showing. And that's what we want. So we're going to do that all the way across. So I'm at the corner. Now for the corner, I don't care about what loop I'm working in. We're just going to do double crochets. So there's 2, chain 2, and then 2 more double crochets. And you guys know the drill. We're going to repeat this around, and when we get to the corner, we'll do our chain 2 and join with a slip stitch in the corner. Now is about the time when we want to start adjusting for size. I am at 10.5 inches, and I know that if I do another round, that's going to put a row of double crochet on this side, a row of double crochet on this side, so that's like 2 rows of double crochet. Well, here we've got 2 rows of double crochet with this little bit in the middle, and that's just over 1.5 inches. So if I do another round of double crochet, that's going to add about the 1.5 inches that I'm looking for. I may have to gain a little bit when I block it, but I think it's going to be really close. So that's what I'm going to go with, is 1 more round of double crochet. If you are much smaller than that, you're going to want to do an odd number of rounds at this point, because we've just finished a wrong side round and we're going to do a right side round. And then if you did another round after that, that would be a wrong side round. So then you'd want a right side round. So you may want to do 3 rounds of single crochet, which would be probably closer to 2 inches. Or you may want to do 1 round of double and 2 rounds of single, but see where you end up with and make sure that you get at least an odd number of rounds to finish off your piece. The way I've written it, because at my gauge I just need 1 round of double crochet, so the way I've written it is with 1 more round of double crochet. If you are already at 12 inches, which you really shouldn't be if you're anywhere close on gauge, but if you are, you can rip out this last round and do 2 rounds of single crochet instead. If you're very close, you may want to do the next round in single crochet. If you're a little bit farther away, you may want to do the next round in half double. Whatever you want to do, the next round is going to be a plain round, so you can adjust a little bit if you need to adjust the sizing. But the way it's written, I'm going to go ahead and do a round of double crochet. So exactly what I just did, except now I'm not working in the back or the third loops anymore. Now I'm just working a regular round of double crochet. So turn, slip stitch into the first chain space, slip stitch into the first chain space. And now here, the corners are where it's different depending on the stitch you're doing. If you're doing single or half double, you just do 1 stitch and then the chain 2 spaces in the corners. If you're doing double, you're going to do 2 stitches. So I'm doing double, so I'm going to chain up, that's 3 chains, plus 1 more stitch for my 2 stitches. Okay, and then I'm just going to double crochet across to the next corner. And again, when I get to the next corner, I'm going to do 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets. If I was doing single, I would do 1 single crochet, chain 2, 1 single crochet. Just like our previous rounds, like here in this round when we did single crochets, we just did 1 single and then chain 2 and 1 single. Same thing with this round when we did our half double crochets. It was half double, chain 2, half double. So you've got to keep that in mind if you're going to make adjustments, but otherwise it's just crocheting evenly around. So here's my finished square, and as you can see, it is just about 12 inches. I may be like 1/16 of an inch off, but that will block out just fine. So there is my 12-inch square, and I'll show you what it looks like from the back. There's a few ends to weave in, but it looks pretty nice from the back too. So I like this one for blankets because it doesn't look ugly at the back, and blankets you get to see the back, so that's important to me. And that's how you make this flower square. Thanks for watching.